Happy Halloween! Yay! Alright, Halloween is one of my favorite holidays. I really enjoy it. And I also like scary movies, especially this time of year. So, since Halloween is less than a week away, thought I would do a top 10 scary movies. Now, this is my own list, and I know I'm going to have some detractors saying, oh, what about this movie, what about that movie? So the simple answer to why a certain movie is on this list is either A, I didn't watch it, which is possible, or B, I didn't like it that much. Now, I'm going to exclude movies that have horror movie or scary movie elements, but aren't necessarily scary movies, such as Predator or Alien. So, with that said, here's my top 10 scary movies. Number 10 is Trick or Treat. Now, I don't think a lot of people know about this movie, and they should. Hopefully this will bring people to at least be curious about it. Trick or Treat is an anthology-style horror movie. So, it's different in that sense. There aren't too many anthology series out there, and this is a good anthology, I thought. And all these stories take place the same night, the same Halloween night. So, with that, each of the stories jump back and forth. You have a story with a group of kids trying to, I guess, tease a nerdy person with a scary story that happened in that town. You have a group of, I would say, college-age students, college-age kids. College-age students is probably the best way to say it. College-age students who are going to a Halloween party, and one of the girls is nervous and like, does she really want to go? And she's curious about having her first time. And so, since she's dressed as Red Riding Hood, yeah, we get to see somebody dress up as kind of a wolf. So, we'll see who wins out in this, predator or prey. And also you see a story about a crotchety old man who hates Halloween, who is visited by a vengeful spirit of Halloween in a sense. It's an interesting movie, and not to mention, because it's anthology, it's also done kind of in a comic book way as well. The cutaways are done comic book style, and even the way that you'll see like Meanwhile or earlier that night in kind of a comic book style in the bottom of the screen, I thought it was really good. And not too many people that I've talked to have seen this movie, and I would definitely suggest checking it out, and maybe if you like it. I definitely enjoyed it. Alright, number 9 on my list is Friday the 13th, the remake. Now, I know a lot of people don't like remakes. A lot of them have been either so-so or but this one I kind of enjoyed. It's definitely different, which I like. They didn't go completely straight through how it was in the original. First of all, in this remake, they actually do have Jason as the killer, whereas in the original it was his mom. And they show a progression of Jason, being the little kid, and then he's an adult, and he's still haunted by the memory of what happened to his mom. And I did like how they don't make him completely stupid. He's just simple, in a way. He's simple, but he's not an idiot. You see him, actually sharpening his machete. It was very interesting. You also see in some areas where it shows that, yeah, he can use a bow and arrow. He knows how to trap, that sort of thing. And I do like the more human element to this. First of all, they explain how Jason's able to catch people even though they may be running away. First of all, he can run in this movie, which he hadn't done since Friday the 13th Part 3 in the original series. And I thought that was really good. It was good to see, instead of a always lumbering, zombie-like Jason, you see him, quicker. He's actually running. Second of all, they explain that the Camp Crystal Lake, is located on top of mines and a bunch of tunnels. So Jason knows how to manipulate and get through the tunnels quickly, and that's how he's able to catch people. I did like that. I thought this was a good movie, and even had Jared Padalecki from Supernatural, who does a good job in this movie. And I think that, you know, the couple of characters are shallow, and that's to be expected in these type of movies. But for the most part, you see some well-developed characters, and even the townsfolk are kind of scared of Jason. They don't even want to talk about him because they know he's there, and it's kind of like hear no evil, see no evil kind of a thing, and speak no evil. So it's a good remake, and I think that the only downside I would call is this is probably the ending, because they kind of copped out. In the ending. But it's still a decent movie. You know, I suggest check it out. Number 8 on my list is I Know What You Did Last Summer. Now this one came out in the mid-90s, and this followed Scream. And this is also a pretty good movie because it changes kind of why somebody would be after these kids. And, you know, it starts off a group of, I would say, high school. Yeah, that's a movie trope. Because like they always look like they're in their 20s. High school students, you know, they go off at night, they party, and then in the car that they're in, they lose control, they hit somebody. And then, you know, they decide they don't want to go to jail, so they dump the body somewhere. And so you fast forward a year later, and somebody is stalking them with, the tagline, I Know What You Did Last Summer. So it's an interesting way of what happens to each of the people, and not to mention it sets up that maybe one of them is the killer, and that that person is kind of, you know, taking out on what their secret is. Like, I've had enough of keeping the secret. We might as well just come clean with it. And, you know, it has Jennifer Love Hewitt, Sarah Michelle Gellar, and I think Freddie Prinze Jr. If I'm wrong, please let me know. And it's a pretty good movie. It's a little dated in the sense, you know, but a lot of movies are dated. So it's still good, and I really think that, you know, this movie's kind of gotten lost after all these years, and so I would suggest maybe going back and checking it out. It's still an okay, scary movie, but I don't know how well it holds up these days. Now, number 7 on my list is Friday the 13th, Part 7. Now, there are a couple of reasons why I like this movie and why it has kind of a place in my mind. Is, first of all, it was one of the first Friday the 13th movies I'd seen. It was a marathon, and I caught it in the middle. It was at 5, 6, and 7 are the ones that I saw before I had to go somewhere. And there were good movies, but 7 was my favorite of them because of, well, Jason himself. You know, this was the start of the Kane Hodder series of Jason movies, 7, 8, 9, and X, and Jason X. So, this is the first one. He's definitely gives the character, even though he's a zombie, gives him a little bit more human features. You know, the way he does the heavy breathing. You see it in all 4 of his movies. You see him do the like that. Even though you don't hear him breathing, the shoulders come up and his chest expands, kind of making him more intimidating. And it actually works very well. And also the quick movements where he does, trying to see where his prey is, it's actually done really well. Not to mention, this is probably the only movie of that series that gives Jason a true equal in Tina, who has psychic abilities, and she doesn't like do this sort of thing, or, you know, all shakes and stuff. She may twitch a little bit, but the way that she actually attacks him and fights him is actually done pretty well. And you can see how much damage she does to him, and not to mention how he can't be stopped, no matter what she throws at him. And it's done pretty well, I thought. So, it's probably my favorite. It is my favorite of the the whole series, and it's my favorite, definitely, of the Kane Hodder series. And you definitely see that this guy was a stuntman, and he does the stunts very well. So, it's, not to mention the kills are pretty creative. Like the sleeping bag murder was just, it may sound messed up to say this, but I kind of laughed a little bit because who thinks of that? And then it was done very well. So definitely check the movie out. And the Friday the 13th movies are good for the most part. There are a few that aren't that good. Alright, number 6 on my list is Halloween, the original. Now, this is a movie that shows how important music is in a movie. There are other movies that prove this as well. But this, to me, as far as a scary movie goes, this is one that really shows how important the music is. That simple piano really adds the atmosphere and gives you kind of a, in the protagonist's shoes sort of feel in the way that she's being stalked. You see Michael Myers, he's a kid, and then we put it in his perspective with the clown mask, and then he kills his sister, and then you fast forward years later, and he's in an insane asylum. And then, his sister is trying to live a normal life under a different name now, and you see the way after he escapes, how he's constantly appearing in her life. He's there, he's here, and the music kind of helps set that up. And there's some interesting kills in this movie, and Michael Myers does some good. The actor who plays Michael Myers definitely does some good, head movement because he doesn't talk. You see him acting with his body. There's some good action sequences towards the end. Well, in this action sense, in the sense that he's chasing her, that sort of action. And Donald Pleasence does a good job as Dr. Loomis. Dr. Loomis, is that really his name? Sorry, if I'm wrong, please let me know. As the doctor, and he gives a good performance. And the way the movie ends is pretty subtle and interesting with the way that he gets shot and he's down. You think he's out, and then all of a sudden he's back. He just disappears, just like that. I'm bad at saying my fingers sometimes. Sorry. So yeah, he just disappears, and all of a sudden you see the cut all over the place. Where the hell is he? Where is he? Where is he? And then that's how the movie ends, and it'll lead you right into the second movie, which is also pretty good. But I kind of like this first one better of that series. So that's part 1 of my top 10 scary movie list. What are some movies you like? What are some scary movies you like? Let me know. And the second part of this will come very soon. So, until then, later.